Before we start the video, I want you to subscribe to the best Telegram channel at the first link in the description, where we show our earnings on cryptocurrencies, and not only. Our capital that we manage is more than $3 million. Thanks for subscribing. Also in the description is a links to verified exchangers when you register, on which you get a welcome bonus from me. Let's get to the video. Friends, the last few days turned out to be very hot and made the whole crypto industry nervous again. The Binance exchange was under massive attack. Curly Sam was jailed before his speech to Congress. And the USA inflation report was completely unexpected. What will happen to the cryptocurrency market in the near future? Let's look into it. Binance is the largest exchange on the market. And if it collapses, the whole crypto industry will be in trouble. And if you've been watching our past issues, you know that the attack started with the abnormal activity of low liquid coins on the exchange a few days ago. And now the network has brought up the subject in a much more serious way. Let's start with Reuters. The publication decided to recall a criminal investigation of Binance regarding their violation of the anti-money laundering law and USA sanctions. It started back in 2018, but according to media reports, decisions on the investigation have been delayed due to disagreements within the USA Department of Justice. Part of the investigation team believes there is already enough evidence to make a criminal case against certain company executives, including even Changpeng Zhao himself. At the same time, others say more time is needed to sort things out. What else does Reuters write? According to the insider, Binance has been trying to negotiate with the USA Justice Department and even go for a deal. They also reportedly backed up their arguments by saying that the case being filed would cause huge damage to the entire crypto market. Well, I will say that it is probably possible to imagine such a development, but let's look at this story from the other side. Of course, Binance denied the Reuters statement by posting a screenshot of the email from the news outlet's journalist on their Twitter. Chiz also made a couple of tweets on the topic, and in one of them he hints at the fact that some media outlets are still dirty. Indeed, there was already a story about Reuters publishing paid articles for FTX money. The same can be said of the blog, whose director appeared to be receiving large sums of money from Curly Sam. Unfortunately, that's not all. This news even comes from the Wall Street Journal, who questioned information about the Binance exchange's cryptocurrency reserves. They interviewed financial experts, one of whom is Hal Schroeder, an investment manager and former member of the Financial Accounting Standards Board. He states that a recent report published by auditing firm Mazars does not give a complete picture of how well Binance's financial system is set up, especially since the report does not include information on margin credit coverage. In addition, some experts have noticed that if you consider all of the data in this report, you can find a 3% deficit in funds. Binance representatives have commented on this, saying that these are loans that are over-collateralized. In short, let's hope that Changpeng Zhao will organize a full-fledged audit that will dispel negative beliefs. And this report was made hastily to reassure users and show their dominance in the market. In the meantime, let's keep our hand on the pulse and follow the events in our Telegram channel. The news is being published there even faster, so you can be informed about the current market situation. For example, we wrote about suspension of withdrawal of the USDC stablecoin from Binance Exchange, which by this moment is already resumed. So, subscribe. The link will be in the description below the video. But now that the topic of stablecoins has started, it is necessary to mention the situation with BUSD, the exchange's native stablecoin. In fact, its issuer is an American company, Paxos, which is regulated by the New York City Department of Financial Services. The company's website says that the only legitimate BUSD is the one issued on the Ethereum network, while the Binance exchange has separately issued Binance-backed BUSD on the BNB Smart Chain, Avalanche, and Polygon networks. Thus, the tokens issued by Binance are not regulated by the same Department of Financial Services. So, at this point, BUSD is safer to store in Ethereum network. Although, this does not directly say that this stablecoin is under threat in other networks. Against the background of all this, exchange users began to actively withdraw their funds. In the last day, cryptocurrencies worth more than $350 million were withdrawn from Binance. And it seems that the exchange so far withstands the stress test. Although, it should be noted that at the time of FTX collapse, there was almost the same amount of withdrawals from Binance. And current reserves of exchange are quite large and make about $53 billion. Nevertheless, all this history has affected the BNB token, which has lost in value about 6% in those couple of days. Yeah, it's certainly not FTT, with its 90% drawdown in the same time frame. But it is unpleasant because Bitcoin and other altcoins, on the contrary, show small rise now, about which we will talk a little bit later. For now, let's move on to the big news about Curly Sam. Yes, it's finally happening. On December 12, Sam Bankman-Fried was arrested by Bahamian law enforcement. This was at the request of the USA government, based on charges from the Southern District Court of New York. He now faces extradition, but that hasn't happened yet. Bahamian authorities are conducting their own investigation. According to the New York Times, Sam is charged with fraud, wire fraud, securities fraud, and money laundering. According to lawyers, the former FTX CEO could face life in prison. Such a court decision is realistic because such sentences have been handed down. For example, the American swindler Bernard Madoff was sentenced to 150 years in prison for creating a large financial pyramid. You would probably think that Sam could pay it off, but according to current information, he won't be able to. The court refused to release Bankman-Fried on $250,000 bail, citing the high likelihood that he will flee. It's worth noting that Curly Sam's arrest came rather abruptly, since the next day he was scheduled to appear before the USA Senate Banking Committee hearing. Who knows, maybe someone doesn't want Sam to say too much. Cardano's founder, Charles Hoskinson, for example, wrote on his Twitter that the trial regarding the collapse of the FTX exchange would raise a lot of rocks. And Digital Assets Data co-founder and CEO Mike Alfred wrote that Curly Sam would give away a lot of interesting information regarding Tether, Bitfinex, and Binance in order to reduce his prison sentence. He also added that this information could destroy what's left of the crypto industry. And yes, in this sauce, yesterday there were calls online to urgently withdraw money from Binance, which was in fact another part of the attack on the exchange. Well, let's hope that the investigation doesn't bring such shocking surprises, which could cause huge damage in the cryptocurrency industry. In the meantime, the market is holding up quite well and has even started to rise after the announcement of inflation in the USA. Yesterday, the USA Federal Bureau of Statistics released inflation data for the previous month. The Consumer Price Index was 7.1%, which is lower than 7.3% that had been expected. In other words, it looks like the Fed's strategy is working and inflation is on a downward trend. The cryptocurrency market, which also depends on the US economy, reacted instantly to this news. Bitcoin was able to reach $18,000, but unfortunately, didn't hold on to these values, adding only 3.5 to the price during the day. As for the S&P 500 index, it broke the long-term downtrend of the current bear market. But then sellers came into the market and it only gained 0.7% for the day. By the way, I warned on Telegram that this kind of thing could happen because of too much mass positivity. Nevertheless, we will learn something more important tonight, namely, what decision the Fed will make on the discount rate. We will definitely immediately post it on our Telegram channel. So, in order not to miss it, I recommend subscribing. It is predicted that the rate will be raised by 50 basis points, i.e., up to 4.5%. But there is already a possibility that the decision could be softer because of relatively good inflation data. I think at this point, there is already a 4.5% rate built into the Bitcoin price. But if they raise it by just 25 points instead of 50, we are likely to see another wave of growth. Also, it should be taken into account that this growth is unlikely to be significant due to the current negative news background around the Binance exchange. That is, It is unlikely that Bitcoin in a day will rise to the mark of $20,000. But in the long run, when there is less negativity in the market, we could go higher. Many are already tired of the current situation that even the most desperate speculators have left the market. We are told this by a report from Glassnode, which shows that the volatility and trading volume of the major cryptocurrency has fallen to multi-year lows. Also, according to the data presented, we can see that Bitcoins continue to accumulate, and the stocks of such holders have reached record highs. This, almost 140 million BTC coins, which is more than 72% of the total turnover. As practice shows, the market reversal starts when everyone has completely lost faith in cryptocurrencies, and the market has become as sluggish as possible. Well, we may already be somewhere close. Subscribe to the channel and like this issue. Thanks for watching, your Cryptanic.